What's up everybody, welcome to Elevation Dent Company. In today's video, we're going to be fixing a nasty dent on the fender of this Toyota using a 5-inch clamp and some paintless dent removal. Alright, here we got a pretty nasty fender dent we're going to be working on. This thing got hit in a parking lot by another car door. As you can see, the crease going right down the center of it. Let's put the light on it and see how bad it really is. And here's a look at it underneath the paintless dent repair light. Looks a lot worse. We got a lot of pinched up metal right in through this area. Looking at it from this side, we can see all the tension and all the pressure that's inside that dent, mainly up through this section right through here, going through that body line. So what we're gonna do is get in through here and try to release a lot of this. The first thing I'm gonna do is start at the main point of impact, which is right here on this body line. This is where all the tension's at. I'm gonna start working that up. Naturally, a lot of this right here is gonna come up along with it. While I'm in there working that out, I'm gonna also relieve a lot of the pressure up in this upper half, because this thing's really sharp right in the center of this, going all the way down. Pull the headlamp out of this, and I'm also pull the wheel liner out. Pop this bumper off, and then go ahead and pull this headlamp out. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna take a 5-inch vise like this, and what I've done is I've super glued temporary, just some metal plates on each end of this with leather tips on them so that they don't damage the paint. So my plan is I'm gonna shove this up inside that fender. I'm gonna put some pressure on it, try to get that body line buckle back out, and I'm gonna watch all this inside my paintless dent repair light. I got this vise right on the main point of impact on the inside of the fender. And on the outside, I've got that plate resting right on that body line. So let's throw some heat on this thing, give it some tension. Working this thing pretty slow. Definitely don't want to get in here and put too much pressure on it and over push it. Now that I got some pressure on that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my dolly on the inside of that metal. Then I'm gonna use my blending hammer with the polished edgy tool tip to get some of this pressure out of this upper buckle here. So here's a quick look at the fender before we get on it with any paintless dent repair tools. This is just giving you an idea of how much metal that vise pulled out. A couple things I had to get situated before I can come in here and start pushing on this fender with a tool. The biggest issue here is, as you can see, this whole entire area is just wide open. This is a good thing and a bad thing. The bad news is because it's wide open, there's nothing for us to get leverage on to pry up against. I tried running some hooks up through these holes here, but what happens is this is just such a flimsy panel that when I start putting pressure on it, it's just all flopping on me like this. That's pretty much the bad news. The good news is everything's wide open. We can get directly to the dent. So I ran a bar from the bumper reinforcement to the upper fender support, and I just used a pair of vice grips here, clamped it down to this. What this is doing here is giving me a lot of support in through here, and it's actually filling this gap. I got to keep a close eye on this upper support, make sure I don't bend none of this, because that's a super flimsy piece of metal. This vice grip right here is just going to float up and down this panel. It's going to be used to stop my tool from slipping when I get in here and start putting pressure on this. So when I get inside of here and I start pushing on this with some tools, what's gonna happen is this metal is just gonna keep flopping on me like this because it's such a flimsy piece of metal. There's literally nothing in there. So I'm gonna attach this blowout bar to the lower part of this fender lip, and this is gonna help stiffen all this up, because if I don't use something like this, what's gonna happen is all that pushed in there, it's gonna cause a massive bulge down and through here. Then I'm gonna have to fight all that to try to get that push back in. So this right here is gonna help support it a lot. Once I got all this clamped up, you can now see how stiff that fender is now. And this thing's all wrapped in leather, so it's not gonna damage the paint either. I'm gonna start off on this just using a 32-inch Ultra Dent tool. I've got about a 5-inch extension piece here, and I've got a soft tip by Edgy Tools. Alright, here I'm going to switch my tool tip up to a more wider style blending tip. This tip's by Edgy Tools as well, and I'm going to just actually put this onto a knockdown, and I'm going to use this as a dolly on top of a BB size blending tip as well. And as you can see right here, I've got that on the back side of the metal, and I'm just going to blend on the outside panel to knock this high spot out. The benefit to this is it keeps that metal from bouncing around on me. I get a direct hit right on that metal, and it helps move it a lot quicker for me. I'm doing some final cleanup work here with the PDR Finesse Sharp Tip. Actually going to hit this with some 2000 grit on a small sanding block to buff out all the imperfections. With some Meguiar's compound here. Got a little 3-inch pad on a DeWalt drill. That came out really good. I'm actually really impressed with it. That clamp did some really fast work to this fender. I turned my light around to the other direction. I saw a little bit of some flickers here and there. Just picked those little spots up. Here's what it looks like up underneath the paintless dent repair lights. And then I'm going to go ahead and just tape this fender up and go ahead and spray some corrosion protection. I'm not down to the bare metal on the back side, it's down to the E-coat, but we want to spray all that to make sure nothing starts rusting inside of there. Then I'm going to go ahead and just put the headlamp back in and pop the bumper back on. The benefits of having a lift. I'm going to go ahead and get this thing lowered down and get this pulled off the rack. So I'm pretty happy with the way this turned out. There is a little spot here we're going to have to touch up where it split down into the paint right through here, and then there's another little small spot right back here where the paint's chipping. So I'm going to put a little bit of touch up on that and get this vehicle pulled out. That's a wrap on this video. Let me know what you think about this repair down in the comments below. If auto body paint and paintless dent repair is your thing, consider subscribing to the channel. Most of our tools and all of our online trainings are linked down in the description below. Thanks so much for the support. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Take care.